Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to Unit 2 of the course. I'm going to just guide you with voiceover over the slides, and then you have quite a few activities that you have to do. You're always welcome to do them as a team. I know some of you know each other well and connected already, or you can work autonomously in your own time. You are sharing your comments on the forum for Unit 2, virtual forum 2. So a virtual conversation happens as you type in, but if you want to also do some synchronous sessions and then combine your answers together, that is quite all right as well. That's absolutely your choice. So objectives for this session, we're going to try and define theory, examine what occurs when theory is not present. We're going to try and find one's way through complex and large landscapes, give you some tips, and we can examine where in the study should a theory be identified or explicitly should be present. And we will also explore four what I call umbrella theories. So we're going to start giving you a compass by looking at sort of the very large, wide scope theories that we find across sectors. And then we'll do more of a recap during the collab session at 4:30. I'll explain more about the sort of structure I offer you as a guide through the course once you've done that reflection. This obviously all feeds into your assignment one. So it's again is designed with backwards design in mind. So the activity of you need to feed into your assignment one. So when you get to your assignment once, I really encourage you to go back on what you've sort of contributed to the activities, because it will lead directly into that and really inform your assignment one. Okay, so here are some questions for the first forum I'm going to pose. What is theory? It seems easy, but it's actually quite complicated. It's fairly intangible. So try and be as precise as you can, and we're going to try and work through that definition through the afternoon. How does it relate to research and learning? What does research look like when there's no theory? What is the difference between theory and methodology? Are theory and methodology entirely distinct? And is theory of learning entirely distinct from theory in other fields? So quite a few questions, but I think you can combine them all in your answers into a paragraph and maybe post those in the first thread of activity in the forum. And once you've done that, we are going to look at, again, the process of, of scientific inquiry, and again, look at where theory fits. So here I'm going to point to something specific. We've seen that generally it seems that theory comes early in the process of research, but I'm going to look within this slide to specifically ask you whether you think there are any exceptions, basically. So does this mean that theory always comes first? Does theory always inform research? Do you think it's possible for the relations to be inverted? Can research create theory? In which circumstances would you think it is possible for a traditional relationship to be inverted and for research to create theory? So most of the time, it seems we have theory that informs research, but is it possible sometimes that it's inverted and that it's research itself that creates theory? If it is an exception, and if it does exist, when do you think this happened? Okay, and how can we summarize this complex dichotomous relationship in plain words? Try and not just copy paste things from article if you find solutions to this, but try and explain it in your own words so I can see that you're actually grasping the concept and when in practice this occurs. So that will be a nice little discussion. I would think that you'd spend a good half hour on this to try and clarify this. The third activity is I'm going to ask where in a study, so you've read journal articles and you've read study reports. So in a journal articles that sort of presents a study, where would theory be present, right? You've had a bit of an artificial go at 6110 Introduction to Research, where we don't talk about theory because we think it's too complex and we know there's a theory course coming up. So this is what I'm doing here. I'm going back to your experience of 6110 and everything you've learned in Intro to Research and saying, what did we miss and where should we actually have talked to you about theory in the process of research, educational research? So I'm going to say it should appear as early as the abstract, but then it should appear in the body of the study as well. So tell me where would you find that section? Here afterwards, we're going to do little activities with vignettes. I've taken 4 abstracts, and I argue here that it should appear in the abstract. So I've given you 4 abstracts, and I'm asking you whether you find that theory is actually present in these 4 abstracts. So it's sort of a game-based activity. We're going to call them by vignettes instead, so you don't have to cite the full article in APA style. So in vignette 1, just read the abstract. They've given you the whole abstract. Do you read this and do you identify the theory? Now, obviously, theory for some people it's going to be very explicit. They're going to state it. For others, they're going to imply it. So you may have a bit of a tougher time when it's implicit and not explicit. But still, I'm arguing it should be in the body of the study, and I'm also arguing that the abstract summarizes the body so that it will also appear in the abstract. So let's see if we see it here. Vignette 1, Vignette 2, Vignette 3, and Vignette 4. So I'm going to open a form for each of the vignettes and just post your opinion and tell me where you saw it. If it's explicit, it's going to be easy. If it's implicit, it's going to be maybe a bit more tricky, and tell me where you saw it. In the body of a study, it should really be abstract introduction, context, literature review. Download this in 6110. And then here we should have theoretical framework before you go on to methodology. So artificially, what we were in 6110, we may not have talked to you about theory, and you may actually have built a proposal in this way. But in a proposal or in a full study, it really should explicitly appear between literature review and methodology. Sometimes some authors will actually divide the theoretical framework in two, and they'll cover half of it in literature review, which means that they have a paragraph of the literature review that actually talks about the theory and where they found it, and what the literature is around the theory. And then they have another section within methodology where they explain, this is the theory I've chosen, this is how it connects to my choice of methodologies. So, and that's acceptable. So either a separate explicit section or split in two and then inserted half in the literature review, half in the methodology. One more activity, and it's not the third activity. I realize that my heading is wrong, but it will be clear in the threads as you go into the form for Unit 2. You're going to watch this little video, which I've found on the net. It's open access from another university. It's fairly long, but well done. And then I'm asking you your feeling as you watch this. He talks about lots of different feelings, and one of the things I'm going to ask as you recap is, what are your feelings you have when faced with this abundance of theory? Do some of them share elements? Can you start seeing a categorization, right? The aim of Unit 2 is I'm starting to get you to a map, something that's going to allow you to find your way through all of this abundance of theories. So do you see a map after you watch this video, or even at the end of the unit? Do you start seeing a way of categorizing these theories? And this goes on to develop that idea. So is there a hierarchy within this theory in terms of breadth? If there are some that are larger than the others, which ones are those? Can theories of learning combine the influence of several learning theories together? Can we merge them? Does it make sense? So these will probably tackle all of these questions in the recap. I'm not expecting you to contribute this to the forum, but to still continue that reflection, including these ideas, and then we'll recap in the forum. So mostly these two questions in the forum. Then I'm going to suggest that, in fact, there are umbrella theories, and there are 4, and you will see them explained in Brunton and Rhodes, as in other authors. I'm putting that chapter just as an illustration because it's particularly well written, and you will see that he positions, or they position, 4 theories. I assert the same, several authors assert the same, that in terms of having a compass, the largest of all the ones that you're going to find across topics are going to be positivism, phenomenology, which is sometimes called interpretivist theory. So in Brandon Rose, they call it interpretivist theory, critical theory, and postmodern thought. And I would, like these authors and like many others, I will argue that that's your compass. Those are the ones that you're going to find across science fields, and that you are always going to be able to refer any theory that you find back to one of these 4. And in that sense, it serves as a compass. And then that's what we're going to be doing in Unit 3, 4, and 5. We're going to be looking at these 4 sort of umbrella theories, so that you can always find guidance and go back to them. If you have time, you can look at Brunton and Rhodes. It's downloaded in Unit 2. If you don't have time, it's not a worry. You will have plenty of time during Tuesday and Wednesday morning. But have a look if you are interested. One final question as we finish, and this could be done fairly quickly. You're not looking at sources, you're just thinking. Is theory culturally specific? And is there such a thing as cultural bias or cultural ethnocentrism in the field of theory? So I taught often on the masters of in the masters of at UPI on the global perspective stream with a lot of international students, and that's why I've inserted this, because it is quite useful and normally leads to a fairly large discussion around the class. So have a thought about this and share your opinions on this too. And then that's a recap, which I encourage you to do. The recap again will lead into your assignment 1. So as you see, in fairly short video from me. On some other units, the video will be a lot longer, but you have a lot of interactive and active learning tasks today. And it's really about engaging with these fairly short resources, and then trying to get your brain around what is theory and how does it matter. And that will all lead into your assignment 1. So bye for now, and I will see you at 4:30 tonight for the recap. Bye.